Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ecosystem Aces. I am Chip Rodgers, Chief Partner Officer at WorkSpan, and really excited to be joined today by Udita Bhattacharya. Udita, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Chip. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Udita is with AWS and leading the partner enablement teams globally for AWS, and which means that you are dead in the center of the middle of everything having to do with partners and making sure that partners are effective. And Udita has a long career in technology, and I think you've been with AWS 3 years, I think almost 3 years,
Correct.
and with Cisco like 10 or 11 years prior to that, and also always working with partners and making sure that partners are effective. So welcome. Love to have you here.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Chip. Yeah, it's a total of, I think, 17 years now. So I'm dating myself. But yes.
That's great. So let's start, Udita, with the role that you have and the work that you and your team are doing. Tell us a little bit about what are your responsibilities and the role that you play with partners.
Absolutely. So I'm a part of the enablement team now. Enablement can mean a lot of things, but yeah, from my standpoint, what I basically do is I support the channel programs team within AWS, which basically comprises of the distribution program team and something called SPP, which is a solution provider program team. So those are the two program teams that I support with regards to enablement. And I also support segments such as SMB and Greenfield within AWS. And what I basically do is I kind of look at the life cycle of the partner, so to speak, distribution partner or be it an SPP partner, to see that they kind of understand, the offerings that AWS has at a programmatic or at a channel level, making sure that it's lucid enough for them to grasp as to how to become a partner, how to how to grow their business and grow alongside us and become like an extension of AWS, so to speak.
And what are the mechanisms that you use to to enable partners in that way?
Yeah, sure. So there are various mechanisms, and when we talk about enablement and mechanisms, I think it's very dynamic. And one of the key things, so I've been in marketing all my life and doing, various kinds of marketing. And marketing completely fascinates me because I always feel like you're getting into the psyche of people to kind of understand, how to kind of make sure that they're understanding your offerings, that they are excited about what you have to offer. And so, with regards to enablement, it's this is something that I've been doing since the last 1.5 years, which I think is a part. I mean, I bring my marketing experience into enablement because I feel like it is marketing because you have to kind of make sure that your customer or your consumer is understanding what you have to offer. So with regards to mechanisms, so to speak, again, we were hit with COVID a couple of years back. A lot of our mechanisms kind of changed where we couldn't interact on a face-to-face basis, which I think that old-fashioned enablement of meeting face-to-face, having events is kind of key. Seems very old. I feel like when you have to scale, a large majority of people mostly absorb things when you're actually face to face. So that still kind of remains as one of the mechanisms. But within AWS, we are constantly evolving. We are constantly changing based on the needs of our partners. We're kind of seeing, what are the newest ways that we can kind of adapt to relay things to our partners so that they can understand what we have to offer and grasp things. So we have something called Partner Central within
Mhm.
AWS, which is our portal, our main portal. So what we do is we kind of make it easy and lucid for our partners to get into Partner Central, whatever phase they're at, whatever part of the journey they're at, to try to find different assets, different materials out there to onboard, or to grow their business, all the latest and greatest. And again, we are dynamically changing. This year, we brought about Ruba Borno at reInvent, actually announced it. We are changing Partner Central quite vehemently so that it is more friendly to our partner community. So,
Yeah, it's I think Partner Central is it's a great place for partners. There's a ton of content out there, and I think you have mentioned that the AWS way is to create a lot of it's always words, right? It's a lot of and documents and things like that. So there is just a ton of great searchable content out there.
right, absolutely. And when we talk about like searchable content again, yes, words very important to us. We love writing, we love reading as well. So it's a very different culture from the rest of the industry, so to speak. But then again, we understand the needs of the people. And one of the key things within enablement, I mean, whenever we kind of create content, is to put ourselves in the shoes of our partner and see where the world is at. I mean, this TikTok and Instagram, and people need things in smaller bites. We don't
Mhm.
have time. We are running and against time, so to speak. And sometimes even I wonder, if I had more than 24 hours, it would be great. So again, being adaptable, understanding what are the new trends, understanding the psyche that also kind of changes for humans in general, and the culture that kind of changes. I think that shift for us to kind of understand when we do enablement and we try to enable our partners is kind of key.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you have a marketing background because I think good marketing actually is educational, right? It's sort of where you start a lot of times with people that are maybe not familiar with the kind of technology that you offer or the kind of solution that you offer. It's really sort of educating about the whole everything that's happening in that space. So I think I think it makes a lot of sense that you have a market because you also flip side of that is that if you're going to bring partners along and educate them, you need to market to them in a way to have them want to learn more, right? And see that content being interesting and valuable to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we're competing against, like, there's a lot of information coming the way of our partners. And, channel is very, very interesting because it's not just us reaching out to the end customers per se. So it is the partner community that we're reaching out to, making them excited to be excited to market and to enable the end user community. So it's a two-pronged process, which I think for me at least, it makes it more exciting.
So how do you think about because you have you know AWS has hundreds of thousands of partners. How do you manage that content in a way that scales to that level?
Yeah, so scalability again, huge, huge issue, right? Because again, one size doesn't fit all, and that is, I think, the key and core problem of enablement, so to speak. Because yeah, you cannot create bespoke stuff for your partners. but how do you scale? And each partner has a different need, the kind of partners they are. So, for example, our SPP partner community are more of like GSIs, for example, and you have like our big name partners, like the Accentures of the world, and then you have the smaller partners who are burgeoning, who are just starting off. Then you have the support of AWS, and then some of them, the smaller partners who are just starting off, they probably do not get as much support from AWS. So, what kind of enablement do you provide to them? So, scalability is a huge thing. So, what we do is we basically segment our partner community into larger partners, try to kind of balance out, like when we segment, then we kind of see, okay, who are these partners, what are the commonalities between these partners, and then we try to enable them into different segments, is how we kind of do it. So because again, we cannot have bespoke stuff for every partner, we try to cluster some of our partners into various groups to find that commonality and to create enablement for these groups.
So, and how are you? So it's interesting that you were talking a little bit earlier about some of the distributor, the disties, and I think with your background at Cisco, you focused there as well. How do you think about how those partners are coming along, and I think it's a new sort of motion for AWS and for Marketplace to have real answers and solutions for distributors and VARs, even in that space. What are the topics? What are the things that you're educating folks on?
Yeah, great question, Chip. So distribution, again, very, very complex world. And again, we kind of want to make sure distributors are, again, I think one of the conduits who are bombarded by different vendors. Everybody wants to, get their mind share. Everybody wants to kind of, because again, they sit on this huge platform with a lot of VARs, right, in their repertoire, so to speak, and every vendor wants to tap into them, And so again, getting that mind share from the distributors, gaining that trust, and again, when we work with the disties, we want to kind of ensure that they are working with us as though they're an extension of ours. That's again, coming from Cisco, they had this, huge push where we kind of wanted to make sure that distributors were acting as an extension of Cisco. AWS, obviously, we are in that rapid growth phase right now. So we are, in terms of distribution, it is slightly more nascent than it is with Cisco. So again, gaining trust, one of the key things. With regards to enablement, we have to kind of always ensure that they're offerings. They are excited about all that we have to provide to them. And so it is kind of key to have enablement assets or enablement materials that they can easily consume, that they can easily get excited about, incentives they can get excited about, keeping them abreast on the latest and greatest, making them feel like they're a part of the family so that, they feel like they're an extension of AWS. And then providing to them all the materials that they can then hand over to the VAR community, and then the VAR community then to the end user, so to speak, so that they have all the tools. So definitely that is something we kind of look at. And while we kind of segment our partner community, that this one is like a unique community. You can't, again, say they're all partners. We just segment one into like distributors, and even within distributors, there are nuances, right? You have the Ingram Micros and the TD Synexes of the world who are huge, and then you have your smaller disties as well, and the niche disties, and their needs are very different. So segmentation. I think that's kind of key. Segmentation and simplification. Those are, I think, the two keywords when it comes to enablement.
And so, what are some of the hot topics for those partners as they're engaging with AWS and trying to, sort of tap into the AWS field organization, the AWS customer base, uh, and marketplace as well. Where are you seeing a lot of sort of consumption and interest in getting up to speed on different topics?
Yeah, so marketplace, huge hot topic. Again, AWS has kind of crafted and mastered it really, really well. But we also kind of understand that it is a new area for everyone. How do you transact on marketplace? Because it's not
Hmm.
your traditional transaction method, right? How do you go to market on marketplace? Huge areas to kind of understand, huge areas to enable our partners on. Again, in terms of like hot areas, obviously, marketplace is one of our segments that's burgeoning like super super fast, and everybody wants to be on marketplace, every ISV. And enablement plays a key role, like I said, because again, it's new. How do you do that? Teaching them how to kind of fish on marketplace, how to kind of understand customer basically marketplace. All of that stuff is obviously very very important. Incentives, age old thing. AWS has come up with like excellent incentives, be it for distributors, be it for our SPP community. We just announced at reInvent, and it actually was launched last year. My goodness, it just feels like just ages ago, but it's last year. Last year in August, we announced something called Customer Engagement Incentive, or CEI, which, again, huge incentive for our partner community, which was again. We kind of touched upon that at reInvent. Ruba went through it. It has been a huge success thus far. So again, making sure with regards to enablement and these incentives and these hot topics, we kind of want to make sure that our partner community is abreast on that, not just kind of knowing it and keeping it fresh, right? I mean, it's not just, okay, here is an incentive, or here is what you do, here is how you market on marketplace, but kind of keeping it fresh, making sure that they are constantly educated. It's that whole cycle, so to speak, which is very very important.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I imagine that a lot of content and a lot of the enablement for partners is also around go to market, and how do they, they can't just think about like marketplace, for example. Okay, we're going to put a listing up there and all the customers are going to come in.
Yeah.
How is that part of the process of educating, and how do you get those partners to come along and become more activated in the ecosystem?
Yeah, great question again, and that is where I actually started my career at AWS, was within the marketplace marketing team. And so again, like I said, segmentation, one of the key things. So and this was about 2.5 years back. When I kind of started. And so, how we kind of enable our partners to get started, or start with the GTM practice on marketplace, so to speak. So we have some of our larger partners who are supported by our AWS team. So we have special incentives for them. We have special like MDF for them to just kind of make sure that they're growing with us. And a tier system with a we have our top partners, our mid-range partners, and then our burgeoning partners, so to speak. Our burgeoning partners, which we have, like it's a behemoth number, and obviously increasing by the minute. Everybody wants to be, even partners want to get on the marketplace bandwagon. So in order to scale, we also have self-serve mechanisms, and which are pretty pretty exhaustive in the sense that, even if you don't have a marketing person kind of hand holding you through the GTM process, if you get on, we have something called AWS Marketplace Academy, which basically teaches our new partners or new ISVs who are on marketplace how to put together a GTM strategy. What are the different things that you kind of need, from start to basically while start to when you get kind of independent and you can run on your own. So there
Yeah.
is like a step-by-step mechanism, which basically that's something that we do. That's how we kind of scale. So for our larger partners too, it is available, some of our self-serve tools, but we obviously, from a marketing standpoint, we have a lot of marketeers who are there to help. Obviously, our account managers, our partner development managers, and we have a whole crew of people, large partners, and even partners. Sometimes it's difficult to scale. So for scalability purposes, we have these self-serve portals that basically help them understand, where to start, what are the different mechanisms, and also incentivizes our partners so that they can kind of grow and become a top-tier partner where they get like more benefits.
Is that part of how that the criteria for partners is on some of those enablement kinds of things, enablement certifications, and maybe projects even? So how are they evaluated and rise up in their levels within the partner groups?
Yeah. So again, certifications, we're known for it, right? As you know, and we're pretty proud of them. So we do have like a lot of different enablement materials, which are where our partners can actually get certified or trained. So that's step one, to make sure that they are understanding and consuming what we have put forward for them, that they kind of go through that entire process and show that they have done it, and then kind of bringing in offers, again, about the different offers that we have, showing that they have put all the GTM materials that we have put out there to use to kind of go fish out for end customers, and actually showing that they put them to good use, and yeah, via certifications, via offerings, and that is how they kind of graduate, and it is an ongoing process. And with those graduations, again, there are different thresholds for MDF as well. We obviously offer MDF to our long tail partners to kind of help them grow. So yeah, there are different thresholds.
Yeah. Are you sort of are you involved in the MDF process as well? And or are you sort of providing the information to say, hey, they're qualified and those kinds of things, or is it a little bit of both?
So I used to be. So my role has changed right now. So in my previous role, and there are obviously people who are doing that. So there are marketeers who are doing that. So with regards to AWS being involved, yes, we are involved. Kind of have we basically say, okay, these are the thresholds that we have. This is what we provide, and these are the things. This is the criteria that you need to kind of follow in order to achieve this. So yeah, hand holding, and then we have teams, we have consultants who regularly touch base with these ISVs, who basically chat with them, who kind of understand what their needs are. So give them like a very personalized consultative offering as well, where it isn't just go self-serve and that's it. We actually have a consultative process. We have a large team that basically does these consultations with our partners to understand what their their needs are. It's not just about selling AWS. It's also kind of understanding the partner's needs and where they
Right.
are in the process. So yeah, so AWS is definitely, involved in that whole MDF process. There are marketing managers who are. I used to be one of them, so I was kind of involved as well, to answer your question. But the kind of enablement that I'm doing right now is slightly different from that. It's not marketing per se, but it is more of like sales enablement is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. You mentioned also going even, so you're providing enablement to partners, but then also there's end user. Well, first of all, you're focused on Disty, so then they're providing content out to the VARs as well. So that sort of 3-tier process, but then also even content going out to end user, customers as well. Do I have that? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you have it absolutely right. So basically, what we do is we make it easy for our partners. So let's say for the disties, we kind of provide to them materials, enablement materials that they can then pass on to the value-added resellers. Like they can kind of co-brand it with their own logo and stuff like that,
Mm.
their own value proposition, tweak it a little bit. So it's not hard for them to just they don't have to recreate the wheel, so to speak. So that's something that we continually do. And then again, for the VAR to then hand over something to the end customer, that's also there are also like assets and collateral that we kind of provide to them, so that they can kind of market to the end user community.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a lot going on.
We do. We do. No complaints though.
Well, so uh, Udita, I'm wondering if you have anything. We talked to a lot of folks that are all partner, partner people and working with partners. Anything that you would say is sort of something you've learned along the way working with partners that would be some advice or something that you picked up that has really been helpful in your success along the way?
Great question, and thank you. I'm honored for the question, by the way. But
Mm.
yeah, I think one of the biggest learnings that I've had, which I touched upon when we just started chatting, was to put yourself in the partner's shoes. Sometimes we just get so absorbed by the latest and greatest that is happening within our
Mhm.
organization that
Mhm.
we're like, oh my goodness, this is the latest incentive that we have. Everybody would be super excited about it, write a thesis on it, and we just forget that, you know, partners like us, they have families, they have jobs, they are probably tending to 10,000 different vendors. How we do it and the ethos of it, I think, is super super important.
Mhm.
Putting yourself in their shoes, being dynamic, and in that same strain, as I was telling you before. Again, things change rapidly. The medium that how you kind of communicate. We used to have how, just flyers and mail or catalogs. The recent past wasn't even that far back. Let's say about
Right.
like 15 years back, doing that, right? And
Yeah.
how that has kind of dynamically kind of changed to now, where our attention span, the human attention span, is less than that of a goldfish, which is less than 6 seconds. So it's a world of TikTok. You're just seeking for information that you really need. So keeping those things in mind, being able to adapt and choosing the medium wisely, choosing things that you yourself would seek out for or would
Mhm.
yourself enable yourself or read. I think that is kind of key without getting encumbered, which again, as humans, we usually get really fascinated with anything that we create. So just stepping outside of that bubble, so to speak, to understand how people consume things
Yeah.
is the key learnings that I learned.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Thinking from your partner's perspective and yeah, because it is easy to get so excited about the things that you're putting out that it's you forget that it's your partners have completely different challenges, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing is to kind of, one last thing that I would also say is to always test whatever you're doing, making sure just not putting regards to enablement, be it content or what have you, making sure that it is being consumed. So telemetry, again, AWS
Mm.
is known for it. I mean, that's again in our culture, in our ethos. We don't believe in red tape. If you have a great idea, anyone, I could be doing something that is probably engineering based. If I have a great idea, our company actually encourages us to run with it. But we also encourage failure. We also say if you're failing, pivot the path. So I think that is also kind of key to understand what you're actually putting out there, how it is being consumed, the whole telemetry piece of it would be
Mhm.
another thing that I kind of learned. It doesn't end after you put it out there. It's
Right.
it's just, it's the midpoint.
Well, that's great, Udita. Thank you so much for joining today and sharing just some. You've got a lot of things going on. I know you're getting on a plane to India shortly, in the next couple of days, and I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing a little bit of your world with our audience.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
Fantastic. So, Udita, thank you for joining, and thank you all again for joining another episode of Ecosystem Aces. And I think with that, we will wrap it up. And thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank